And welcome to Let's Talk Shop with Russ. It's a Saturday night, and hope y'all are all doing well. I see we have a whole bunch of people out there in the chat already. I see Donna Presley from Don. She is in the chat. She's Donna's Wood Art, and she's out there in the chat. She's a very good friend of mine, and she's been having a lot of problems with her toe. It's like a bone spur or whatever keeps growing back, and they've actually told her she's had so many surgeries on it that if it grows back again, they're probably going to have to amputate her toe. So I'm hoping and praying, Donna, that that don't happen. That this last surgery works for you. But yeah, that's I can't. I mean, but if it's painful, I mean, you got to do something. I understand what you're saying. So but we have Dixon Hoffman's out there, Luann Pierce or Luana Pierce, Katie Dotson. Hi, Katie. Uh, let's go back up through and see who all's here. Katie and Aussie Man's out there. Ken McCrory is out there. Buster Stott is in the chat. All those people are out there in the chat. I'm just looking back up through and seeing who else is all out there. That's all I see for right this minute, but I appreciate y'all all being out there in the chat. Trust me. We have Ryan on as the guest tonight. He's going to be talking about what's been going on around there in Barn Rat Studios. And did you see my post? I said, come and join us. We're the Rat Pack and the Rat Shack. I thought that was pretty cool. So anyway, let me talk about my wonderful sponsors. And they are Devobal Technologies for web design, development, and hosting. Visit devobal.com. FastCap, innovative products for the professional woodworker. Go to fastcap.com. Hot Rockler, 60 years in woodworking. Create with confidence. Visit rockler.com. Bearwood Supply Company. Your best choice for hard-to-find woodworking supplies, go to bearwood.com. Klingspor, the sanding specialist, woodworkingshop.com. Seiko, the scroll saw specialist, seiko.com, and Scrollnado. Dust collection for your scroll saw. You can find them on Amazon. And don't forget about my shows on Wednesday night. I have Scrolling and Making with Russ right here on YouTube, and we usually try to make something or do something and get into trouble on Wednesday night. So before that, and I have one announcement, or actually two announcements. The pallet challenge is still going on, and up until the end of the month. So you got like about 2 weeks, a little over 2 weeks. And don't forget about Chris's prize for the best first place. In other words, if you're a first-time entry into the pallet challenge, you might just win his first place for beginners. First place for beginners. Yeah, that's how I need to say it. First place for beginners. And now what could happen is you could actually win two prizes. And how that we lost somebody. Yeah, looks
Paul
like we
fell
lost.
out.
Yep, Paul, there he is. He's back. He's back. Anyway, you could actually win two prizes because I could pick you as the winner of the pallet challenge, and Chris could pick you as the winner as the first time entry. So you could actually win two prizes at that point. So, but that's still going on. And then Whirligig Wars has ended. And next Saturday night show, we're going to be making the announcement of who's the winners and also the drawing for the other people that are not first, second, third place. So that's going to happen next Saturday night on the show. That's about all I can think of for right this second. So let's go down the list and have everybody. I'm just going to change to this platform and have everybody tell us who you are and where you're from. And Ryan, you're going to be last. So we'll start to my right, and that is Brenda.
Thanks, Russ. I'm Brenda G. Brenda G's Designs. You find me every place on the internet as Brenda G's Designs. I'm on Etsy, Teesprings, Maker Media Network, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and BrendaG'sDesigns.net.
Cool. Don't want to interrupt you, but I just saw in the chat Patrick's Workshop is out there, and he says I'm all right. I wanted to tell all my friends that my Facebook account has been shut down. So if you need me, I'm on Instagram. Okay. Okay. I don't quite understand, Patrick, but yeah. Hope you're doing okay and everything's all right. So just for a note, if anybody needs Patrick from Patrick's Workshop, you can find him on Instagram instead of Facebook. So not quite sure what's going on with that, but oh well. Chris.
Hey guys, Chris here from the Old Cranky Workshop. You can find me on Facebook and on YouTube. You know, if I ever get a video finished and get it out again. But again, what Russell was saying about the pallet challenge, I'm doing the prize for the best first time entry. And if you're worried, I haven't even started it yet. Well, look right behind me. Those are my pallets. I haven't even begun to cut them down yet. So don't sweat it. You got 2 weeks plus Labor Day weekend. I think you can make it. So best first time entry. I want to see some great stuff. Tell your brother, tell your mother, tell your sister, get everybody in. The more entries, the better.
Cool.
Back to you, Russ.
Paul.
Hey, Russ, my internet burped. That's why I disappeared. But I think it's back being stable again. Anyway, Paul Corliss, Paul's Messy Workshop on YouTube, on Instagram, and paulsmessyworkshop.com, which I'm diligently working on. And someday in the future, I should be proud of it.
Great. And
That's
Al.
it.
Hey guys, Al Forte, Odessa Woodworking and Maker Shop, Kilroy 79763 all over the place. And I too am in the same boat as Chris. I have, of course, they're not in here, but I have my pallets all in one piece. And hopefully I'll be able to chop them up, do the video, make my project and enter. But so far I haven't entered, so it's not too late. We can do it.
You still got time.
Mm-hmm.
You still got plenty of time. I've had so many things going on. Brenda's gourd challenge is at the end of the month, and I got 2 weeks to get a gourd thing together, so I know what you're talking about. Yeah. So I do want to say one thing that I forgot to mention before that I'm very proud of, and that is the fact that I've been on a diet since the 1st of August, and as of yesterday, I've lost 10 pounds. So that's I think it's an accomplishment. That's quite a chunk of weight. I feel a little bit better. And then also, if you notice my post today, we had a treadmill that was about 10 or 12 years old. My wife had bought years ago. And wouldn't you know it, when I started my diet at the beginning of the month, the thing crapped out. So I haven't been able to do anything on the treadmill. I would go for walks, except for the fact it's been raining every damn day, all day long here in Florida.
No, all I heard excuses.
Well, and no, there's no more excuses because I went out and bought a brand new treadmill. We got it. It came in today, and me and my wife put it together this afternoon. So I was too tired tonight, but first thing tomorrow, my fat ass is going to be on that treadmill. And trying to lose some more weight. I want to get down. I was 287. I'm at 277, and I'm going to try to get down to 250. Is my first goal. So, but yes, I'm very happy. I can tell a difference. I really can, as far as and when people ask me, like, what finally made you make the decision, I just started feeling very uncomfortable. So once I got to that point where I felt very uncomfortable, I'm like, all right, I got to do something about this. This is just keeps getting big. I keep getting bigger and bigger. So I got to do something. So. Anyway, so tonight's guest is Ryan from Barn Rat Studios or Barn Rat Wood Shop. I think you've changed the name. It didn't used to be Wood Shop, and you've changed it to Studios or something.
Yeah, when we first started out, we were Barn Rat Woodcraft Studio, but I quickly realized that I do a lot more than just wood. So we got rid of Woodcraft and made it straight Barn Rat Studio.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
Yep.
Cool. Well, how you been?
Good. Russ, good job on the 10 pounds, man. I always tell people that first 10 pounds is so big because, a gallon of water weighs 7 pounds. So I always tell people, go grab 2 milk jugs, fill one completely up, fill another one halfway, and then carry that around for an hour. and then tell me you're disappointed that it's only 10 pounds. So good job on the 10 pounds, man. That's huge.
Thank you.
Not carrying that around is good for you. So keep it up, brother.
Biggest thing that I can tell a difference is some of my pants or my shorts were starting to get, I was continuing to grow, and my shorts were getting tight. Since I've lost the 10 pounds, they're no longer tight. I don't have to take a deep breath to button them.
Yep. And then, you get lightheaded tying your shoes. I've been there too. I hear you, man.
Yep.
So no, we've been super busy. Finished up, I think last time I was talking to you guys, I was midway through that large basement project over in Union, Kentucky, neighboring town here, where a client had hired me to do a lot of furniture and a lot of built-ins for the basement. We'd finished that up, and now we decided to buy a farm. So oddly enough, I didn't realize that seems to be the trend that's been going on in some of the maker communities. You've got guys like Bob Claggett and his family have a farm now. Jimmy DeResta's always had the farm. Let's see here. Who's that guy? The space Ken Moon. That's it. Ken Moon.
Yep.
Ken bought a farm and he's got a channel. So, but that's been kind of a big thing for my wife and I. Was trying, once we moved out to Kentucky 3 years ago, our goal was to find a place with some land and go crazy and have fun out there. And we're getting there. So part of it has to do with Barn Ranch Studio, and part of it has to do with absolute pure dumb luck being in the right place at the right time.
How many acres do you have on your farm?
9. So, 9. And it's a weird setup. We're a little, so it's 9 very rectangularly long acres. So we've got our first 1.5 acres, which is kind of like a nub. And then we kind of branch out from the road, and it's about 1 acre wide all the way down at 8. So it's a weird setup. But I'd say half of the property is at about a 30-degree slope with woods. So we're still trying to figure out what exactly we're going to do with that, because we go down to the power line easement and a creek back there. So there's not a whole lot we can do. We have entertained the idea of possibly pigs in the future. But right now, I think we'll stick with the top side and figure out, over the next couple of years what we're going to do up there.
Cool.
Yeah.
More pigs, more bacon. Love bacon.
Little bacon seeds.
Yep. Bacon, ham. Oh, yeah. All that good stuff. Pork rib, pork roast, pork loin. Woo! Making me hungry thinking about it.
Barn rat bacon. I can see it now.
I know, right? It just sounds good.
It does.
So we it was really weird when my wife and I got married. We kind of said, a couple nights before our actual wedding, we had sat down and said, where do we want to be in, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, or what have you? And we had jokingly gone on the computer and taken a picture of a willow tree, like just a regular clip art image, and we have put over at Willow Ridge Farm, because in my early childhood, between the ages of 4 and 10, I lived on a farm outside of Minneapolis, so in a kind of rural country area outside of Minneapolis. And one of my favorite things about this farm that I spent some time growing up on was this willow tree that kind of hung over a pond. It was very, very picturesque. And so it was always kind of my dream that if we do have a farm, we'll call it Willow Ridge Farm, and hopefully have a willow tree next to a pond. Well, we have a pond, but no willow tree. But I have heard that willow trees come cheap, and they like to drink water, so putting it by a pond is a really good place. So we've named the 9 acres Willow Ridge Farm. And then I went on Instagram and found out that we are one of hundreds of people that thought Willow Ridge Farm was a really good name for a farm.
Yeah.
Yep.
I was raised on a farm myself. It was huge. I mean, it was like 30 or 50 acres. It was so big, let's put it this way, that when I was a child coming through, I was here when they put Interstate 4 through. and Interstate 4 cut our property in half. So my dad ended up, or it was going to cut our property in half. So we would have had half the farm over here on this side of I-4 and the other half of the farm over here on this side of I-4. So he ended up just selling the property and backing out of it. But it was a big, we had cows and pigs and horses and you name it, chickens. And
Yeah.
we cooked, we grew our own vegetables. The only time we went to the store was to get salt, maybe flour, pepper, coffee, stuff like that. All the vegetables and meat we raised on the farm.
Yeah, that's my wife and I's goal. So this is where I guess the suburban snob in me comes out. Back in Minneapolis, where I grew up, we were blessed with a abundance of grocery stores and butcher shops and markets, and I've found some here in the Cincinnati area, but not to, I guess, the quality and standards that I was used to in the upper Midwest. That's not saying that there's not good producers here in the Cincinnati area. I just haven't found them yet. But that has been my frustration the 3 years living here, is finding those good cuts of meat, the great produce, stuff like that. And I really miss real eggs. Everyone will tell you that once you've had farm fresh eggs that are right from the coop to the breakfast table, versus what you get in the grocery stores, be it, Hy-Vee or Kroger or Cub Foods or even Whole Foods or whatever. It's really different, the eggs you get versus what you can grow. And so that's part of why we're doing it. One of the podcasts I was listening to, or have been listening to now that we own a farm and I'm trying to learn as much as I can about this, was telling me somewhere around the lines of average family of 4 with a chicken coop with 6 egg layers and 6 meat birds, and then not 500, I think it was 200 square foot garden, can lower their grocery bills by almost $11,000 in a year just from the gardens and chickens. That's huge.
Yeah, that's real. It's not only that, the stuff tastes better. If you've ever drank fresh milk, you have no clue as to what milk tastes like. When you buy it in a gallon jug, that ain't milk. I have drank really, really fresh. I'm talking about, I've actually drank milk straight from the teat because my brother squirted me in the face one time with it. So, but yeah, it's totally different. My mother used to make homemade butter. She'd churn the milk and make homemade butter and stuff, So if you've never eaten that, it's totally different from what we have nowadays, so to speak.
Yeah. It's a world of difference, and we're really liking it. Plus, I was having a discussion, and it's a discussion I've had with a couple other makers in the online community, especially when it comes to YouTube and Instagram. I came into the game late. I came in about a year and a half ago onto Facebook and YouTube and Instagram, and I haven't quite been as regular or as frequent with my YouTube videos and all that. And so it's been hard growing my channel, which a lot of it has to do with the fact of the infrequency of me putting out videos. And a lot of that goes back to, I don't want to be just another guy putting out another table with epoxy, we'll call it. Because I don't want to make for content's sake. I want to make because it's stuff I need or stuff that my clients order. And sometimes it's just, I'd much rather be in my shop making, I made a bench today out of a bunch of stuff that a lady had brought from a flea market. That was fun for me. I didn't record it. I didn't take the time to make sure that I got every single shot and stuff like that. And sometimes I just want to build. But on the farm side of things, because it is so new and it is so novel to both myself and then additionally my wife, we're really starting to put all of our eggs in a basket, pun intended, for our barn rat and house mouse content. So we've got an Instagram page, we've got a YouTube channel, and really I'm focusing on that more on growing as content and as more of our, I guess, input into community versus the Barn Rat Studio stuff, because Barn Rat Studio has always been and always will be business first for me. You know, what I post on Instagram, what I post on YouTube, what I post on a Facebook page for Barn Rat Studio is always skewed more towards the Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky area and my client base. So when I put a video out of me, you know, demoing a barn in Stone Lake, Ohio, yeah, it's great if a couple guys in Florida and somebody in Texas and somebody in Colorado sees it. I don't mind that, but I put it out there so that the people in Northern Kentucky and Cincinnati know that I'm the barnwood guy. And so that's where, again, I kind of pigeonholed myself with the content side of things, and where I'm hoping Barn Rat and House Mouse with my wife will kind of get us farther into that content side of things and pay for some of the projects, honestly, around the farm.
Question also, what if you're talking about you built that bench or whatever, what other stuff have you been working on lately as far as building?
Oh, well, I mean, there's a farm projects, but work. So I had a couple coffee tables come through. Gosh, I'm trying to think of last time I saw you guys. So I took some old soda crates, so a Pepsi soda crate, Diet Right, Coke, and all that. Turned that into a coffee table. That was something I was really happy for. And I told my wife, I said, I really hope the client doesn't pay for this. I was hoping that the client would not make the payment on that coffee table, and I didn't have to give it to him, because that by far has to be one of my favorite builds. It was colorful, but it was still muted enough for my liking. And so I had made a coffee table with a middle shelf that the soda crates would slide in on 2 levels. And that was really cool. Made a couple more bar stools. I'm getting really, really tired of making bar stools. But, you know, client work is client work. I'm trying to get more creative. So these latest bar stools I'm making, I'm using the barrel staves as back. We're using some poplar 4x4 barn beams for the legs, and I've been trying to incorporate some more metal aspects into our work. And then I'm really hoping, I paired up with a guy local here in Cincinnati who does metal fabrication. And we're working on an office suite right now. We're building a 36-inch by 84-inch desk. That's going to be a combination of industrial style metals. And then I'm going to do an acacia butcher block top on that. And then we've got I think 78 or 80-inch bookshelf that we're making along with that I'm hoping we'll be taking photos of and putting on our Instagram page by the end of this month. I've got another basement where we're doing some wall art work. So just giant size scroll sign, which to me is jig sign. So 6-foot cutouts of silhouettes of football players and hockey players for a man cave. Just kind of all over the place. But, you know, a lot of the projects that are fun for me right now, I'm building a chicken coop, and then I've got a garden to make. And the only pallet woodwork I've done so far in the barn was I just made it's not really made. I took some 4-inch legs and screwed together 8 pallets and made a three partition compost bin. But yeah, it's busy, but at the same time, it's kind of all over the place.
Anybody on the panel got any questions for Ryan?
Yeah, I want to know if you're going to enter your composting in the pallet challenge.
No. Honestly, Paul, I had thought about it just for fun, but it took me all of 5 minutes to throw some 4-inch. I don't know if you guys are familiar with timberlock screws. They
Yep.
use in landscaping. I just grabbed a handful of timberlock 4-inch screws and just zipped them together. So it's just for the time being. It's not permanent. I still have to build up the garden. So, but I laughed when I was putting it together this morning. I'm like, I should really completely indulge this thing and just make it just blow it completely out of proportion, make a video of it and be like, here you go, Russ.
Oh, you got it.
Pretty
You
much
got it.
bolted together in
Hey,
pallets. Here's
Hey,
my
you
project.
might win a prize.
I might win Chris's because oddly enough,
Yeah.
entered this challenge.
Yeah.
No one has entered a compost pile before. So
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
Now, the one that we've had so far that's been just off the chain was the guy that made the violin and actually played it.
that was killer. That he reset the bar. That's why I'm worried about new people coming aboard now. So
Yeah. I mean, have you seen that, Ryan? He made a violin out of pallet wood and played it.
You know, I used to. I mean, let's face it. If anyone knows who Barnett Studio is on Facebook and Instagram, you kind of know I've got some issues with opening my mouth. I used to rail about guys who were in the community and then they would say stuff on their podcasts or online about, well, I just don't have that much time to watch YouTube or look at Instagram and all that. Then I bought a barn. All right. And I've got 9 acres to deal with. And the worst thing in the world is I just can't consume the content that I want to. I mean, when Ken had posted something about the Palletwood Challenge, I'm like, oh, well, when's that go on? And then Russ, I think you had said, oh, did you watch the video? And I didn't even see it in my feed. I mean, I'm subscribed to, everything Russ Clarity, but I didn't see it in my feed. And that makes me sad. I wish I had more time for the content and watching this stuff. It really bums me out.
Well, I have a question for you, Ryan.
Yeah.
You had a little garage sale down there at your place. I was just wondering how that little tiny garage sale went for you.
That was not tiny. So it went well.
You knew.
Well, so all right, Russ, I don't know how much of this you want, but the whole backstory on this farm we bought is we bought it as is. For 20 years, the family that's owned it has gone through 2 different owners. So there was the mom and dad, and then there was the husband and wife. And then the husband and wife passed away, or didn't pass away. They got a divorce, and then the wife has been living there for 10 years. So 25 years of the dad who had what's the easiest way to describe this? Because
You can say hoarding.
Watching it. No, it wasn't hoarding, though. It was more like, hey, I need this just in case. Because everything was labeled.
I think that's the description of hoarding.
That's hoarding still.
Okay, yeah, it was slightly hoarding, but it was weird because everything was labeled. Everything was organized. It was
organized order.
But it was just a lot of stuff. And so I looked at Candace and I said, my wife, I said, baby, I don't think we need 42 5-gallon buckets. Well, I later found out that you own a farm, you want as many 5-gallon buckets as you can.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had so many different things, and we just kind of looked at it. I had some old Tonka trucks. My wife and I don't have kids. We're not going to have kids, so there's no need for us to have old Tonka trucks. And rather than go on Craigslist or go on Facebook Marketplace or eBay and take pictures and post it, I threw up in a couple of my neighborhood Facebook groups and all that. I said, hey, we have a bunch of cool stuff. We're going to put it in our front yard for 2 days. Come buy it. And if you buy it, know that the money you spend there is going to help us fund the projects we need to get done on the barn or on the farm, which it did. We made, enough to finance the chicken coop and get halfway through the raised bed gardens for the first 450 square feet of it. So we're pretty excited. It worked out well, we think, because we're just finishing up cleaning up the 3rd barn. So the blue barn's the biggest barn. And then we have to start working on the house side of things. And we think we're going to do this one more time in mid to end of October if Mother Nature is kind enough to give us a good weekend. just because we don't want to go through another winter of having a barn piled with stuff, because we need to start planning come spring to start putting animals and stuff in there and getting my shop expanded and wood storage. I mean, I'm tearing down barns and I need space to put all that wood.
Right.
So,
Take a second here real quick and say him and I woodworking is out there in the chat. I appreciate that. Chris Nealon is out there in the chat. Donna, or was it Donna or Katie? No, I think it was Katie. Katie made a good point a while ago. Homemade buttermilk and cornbread. Oh man, it'll make you slap your mama. So yeah, and we have 42 people watching right now and only 19 thumbs up. So if y'all people that have not given me a thumbs up as of yet, I sure would appreciate you taking the time just to go right down there and click on that little thumbs up for me. I'd appreciate that. Aussie Man still out there. I think I just said him and I woodworking. I was just awesome wood things. Matt Haas is out in the chat. Just going over a few people that have joined us since I first talked about those out there in the chat. Aussie Man still here. Donna, Katie. Oh, Portal Woodworks is out there in the chat. He joined us also. So he said, howdy, y'all. So howdy. I think his name's David, right? David from Portal Woodworks.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. Okay. Just wanted to go over and say hi to all those. Oh, we jumped way up. We're at 27 now, so only need. Come on, keep on going. Keep on going. Okay, so yeah, back to Ryan.
yeah.
Yeah, I wish years ago I had made some plans and made some changes myself and got a farm. Bought a farm years ago. So I'm getting a little too old to mess with it now, but I would have loved to have had one. Like I said, I was raised on one, and I have a lot of fond memories of being on the farm. We used to, speaking of rats, my brother and I, we had a 22 long rifle. We had rat shot, and we'd go out there in the barn and sit in the loft, and I'd spot him with a spotlight, a flashlight, and he'd shoot the rats, keep them from out of the feed and stuff inside the.
Yep.
Should you really be talking to a guy who calls himself a barn rat about shooting rats?
Brenda, you don't know how Barn Rat came about?
No.
Barn Rat Studio is named because I, for 10 years before I was doing woodworking, was an exterminator.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I've got a tattoo. Oh, where it is? There it is, of the patent drawing of the rat trap on my arm.
All right.
There's a very, 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 very large retail center in Bloomington, Minnesota, that I was the technician in charge of. I, for obvious reasons, can't say what very, 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 very large retail center it is. I'm sure you can assume
It's one of two colors.
It wasn't one of those places where weird people hang out or go to, was it?
It's a mall and it's in America.
Okay.
But the maintenance staff, the facilities maintenance, jokingly referred to me as the Grim Squeaker. So it's always when I started a wood shop, I dealt with barnwood, and with my name being Ryan Ridgley, a lot of people called me Ryan the Rat Ridgley, and so it became Barn Rat Studio, and it worked. And people turn their heads when they see something that says Barn Rat on the side of a truck or on a Facebook post. It's really worked out for us. But yeah, I have absolutely no love for anything rodent. My company is named after rodent, but if there are rodents on my farm, they don't last long. The first animals that were ever on Willow Ridge Farm, it will go down in history that the first animals we ever had were 4 mean, feral barn cats. So my wife works at the county animal shelter, and they had a case where they had to pull about 30 cats out of a hoarding situation in a home. And they weren't exactly adoptable. They're kind of ornery, not that nice. And I said to her, I want 4 females, and I want mean ones. And so we brought 4 mean female cats onto property. And oh gosh, that was about a month and a half ago, 2 months ago. And just about every other day, there's a gift for me at my shop doors. And they earn their keep. They're great about it. But the more dead rodents I find around my farm, the happier I'm going to be.
Well, I too have a history with rats. I used to raise them for snake food. So, you know,
Nice.
that's profit right there.
Yep, absolutely.
I knew a guy that his daughter had rats for pets, literally pets. She'd come out and have like one of them hanging around her neck and everything, and I'm like, yeah, that's okay. Yeah.
Nope. Rodents have no love for me ever, and they never will. So that and raccoons. Don't even get me started on raccoons.
No, I love raccoons, but I want to tell you,
Russ,
they are a
Russ,
pet.
You're wrong.
With me,
Just wrong. Raccoons are horrible creatures.
They ain't horrible. They're a pest though. Real quick story. We had the Boy Scouts. My boys were in the Boy Scouts, and we went on a camping trip. And there was notorious. This area that we were in had a lot of raccoons, and the park rangers even said at night, make sure you put things up because they will get into whatever. And well, a lady left a package of crackers on the front seat of her car, and her window cracked about 2 or 3 inches down, and they got into her car, and they totally destroyed the interior of her car. Yeah. I mean, totally destroyed the interior of it. So, and another guy left a box of his silverware out, and there was a trail of silverware out toward the woods, forks, knives, spoons, just all out into the woods where they carried them off out there into the woods.
Yeah, for me, it's squirrels. You know, we have an overpopulation of squirrels here.
Squirrel's a rat with a fuzzy tail. That's all.
Yeah, I call them tree rats.
Yeah.
Raccoons are destructive creatures, and they are such carriers of so many bad jujube diseases and viruses.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
they can carry rabies, you name it, they can carry
leptospirosis, parvo, distemper. Not exactly a good animal to have around people or pets. But again, that's the old pest control technician coming out. I could go on for hours just about raccoons, and by the end of it, you'll be joining me on my farm with that 22 taking out raccoons going, yeah, they are horrible, awful creatures. Also, I've had my share of experiences with raccoons in attics, which you don't want to be in.
Oh, no. Oh, they will eat you up if they get a hold of you. That's sure.
They'll chew right through the roof, too.
Yeah. If one gets in my house, I'm burning it down.
Hey, Chris,
I will win.
it's not a story to air publicly, but you want to hear a great story. Somebody messaged me, and I'll tell you about a raccoon that we found 4 days after it had gotten into a bag of cornmeal.
Oh,
yeah.
We still need thumbs up, people. If you would not mind, please. We got 42 watching and only 30 thumbs up. So 12 of you out there, if you wouldn't mind reaching down there and hitting that little button that's like this. Big thumbs up. I would appreciate it. Thank you very much. Dixon Hoffman's still out there. Donald's Vlogsify Woodshop. Donald Matthews is out there. Hi, Donald. How are you doing? He's working on the table right now. I saw the video. There is one thing that I really want to know about Ryan before we get off of here. Let's see.
Uh-oh. By the way, Russ, Donald came home sick from work.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so.
The Lowe's disease is getting to him, huh?
I guess.
There is one thing I want to know about Ryan. So here we go.
Oh God.
What's up with this, Ryan?
Play.
Yeah.
That was an interesting video.
Yeah, it was. I saw it was, and I'm laughing. I laughed at you, but the only reason is because you don't know how many times that's happened to me.
Oh, it's that. I'll let you guys watch, then I'll explain.
Whoa!
At least you weren't 20 feet in the air.
Right.
Right. And
Yeah.
I mean, this is, I think it was 2 times or 3 times speed I had set up on, I had the time lapse set up on my iPhone when I was recording this. Yeah. But
All right,
no,
I'll give you 8 on the landing, but I think the Russian judges went with a 5.
we're harvesting a barn in Stone Lake, Ohio, just about 40 minutes outside of Cincinnati. And again, learning what I have about the interwebs, a slightly overweight, balding white guy tearing down a barn in Stone Lake, Ohio is only going to get so many clicks. But a slightly overweight, balding white guy almost falling on his ass in a barn in Stone Lake, Ohio is going to get a lot more clicks. So I'm tending to set up my camera a lot more. And no lie, the minute my foot slipped. So what happened was we had gotten rain the night beforehand, and the outside area of that barn, the perimeter is getting pretty muddy. So I had picked up a bunch of mud on my boots. And then I don't know if you're familiar with those little giant ladders. They're great, except for the fact that they're all metal.
Yeah.
So when you add muddy boots to an all metal ladder, I felt that ladder move underneath my boot, and I knew to grab. And the minute I grabbed, right about here, there was about a 4-inch, I'd say probably 8-penny nail. The head was sticking out. It popped me right there. Gave me a decent sized bruise that actually hurt when I just did that, and it scraped me from my armpit down to my waist, which it looked really bad. But honestly, the minute I hopped down, 2 thoughts went through my head. Ow, that really effing hurt. And immediately after that thought was, oh my God, I have this on film. Hell yeah.
Okay.
That's that content creator bug. It just gets to you. It's like, all right, well, this is going to hurt for 3 days, but wait, I filmed it.
It's almost
This is going to go viral.
It's almost as good as Ken Moon in his snake picture.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. However, I also need to realize that my wife is subscribed to us on YouTube and Facebook and Instagram. And so when I thought I had 6-7 hours before I got home and she would see this giant scrape on her husband, I had text messages within about 10 minutes of that video going online going, what the hell did you do? Why are you doing that? You're an idiot. You know, the usual. But yeah, no damage. You guys saw it. My feet were never, I think, more than 30 inches off the ground. It was a mistake, but I didn't get hurt. It wasn't a problem at all. But it was too gold of a video for me not to put it online.
Leonard Davis out in the chat wants to know if you're going into comedy videos.
So if you guys go ahead and follow Barn Rat and House Mouse, it is getting a little bit campy. My wife is. We've all met that person that thinks they're the straight man, but they're actually the funny one in the duo. My wife is absolutely hilarious. Every video that we've been doing for Barn Rat and House Mouse on that channel has given me at least a 15-20 second blooper reel it's gold. So yeah, no, it's been fun. But yeah, I think that's part of it is, especially on the content side of things, I'm finally starting to go down the Diligus route, which is, does it look like I give a blank?
Right.
And it's not that I don't care about the numbers, but Paul Jackman was just on the Fools with Tools podcast, and he really talks about it, and just create what you want to create. And if people like it, then they're going to watch it. And if they don't like it, then they're not going to watch it. And that's all I can ask. I think over the past 2 years that I've kind of been in this community, I made a name for myself as somebody who's going to make a lot of noise. But it's a lot of noise that I'm going to stand behind. I'm not going to waver. I'm not going to talk about a product I don't believe in. You know, I'm also going to talk about a product I don't believe in. I'm not going to talk about a business practice that isn't something that succeeds for Barn Rat, but I'm also going to talk about stuff that Barn Rat does that didn't work for us so that other guys can. And I think that's where, again, separating Barn Rat Studio versus the Barn Rat and House Mouse. Barn Rat Studio is more about making, more about the business of making, where Barn Rat and House Mouse is more about me hanging from the rafters of a barn, you know, by my pants. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't know how many times that actually has happened to me. I've been in construction. My father was a carpenter and a contractor, and so I've been in construction all my life. So I've fallen off more ladders than you would ever even imagine, and had done more things that probably shouldn't have been done. The safety police would have definitely shut us down on some of the stuff that we did.
Yeah.
But a lot of times when you're on construction, because they have dug out for the foundation and everything, so there's a lot of sand here in Florida, and then plus the uneven ground, you set a ladder down and you get on it on the first rung and you kind of plant it. You think it's planted, but you get about the fourth rung up and one of the legs go into the sand, and there you go.
Yep.
So you always, as when I was painting, the number one rule when you're painting, though, and the ladder goes to fall, is save the bucket of paint. Do not let it spill.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Save
And
the bucket of paint.
I will be the first to admit there were a lot of things that I did wrong before I got on that ladder. There were a lot of things. I wasn't 100% sure of the footing of the ladder. I didn't have clean shoes. I didn't have clean treads. I didn't have 3 points of contact. Every safety briefing that I ever went through in the Army, every safety briefing I ever went through in pest control, because I would do bird jobs where we did bird netting on 3-4-story buildings up in 60-foot boom swaying for 8 hours. When you get done with the day, you're still walking like this because you're used to the movement, you know? And so I know about working on raised surfaces and ladders and all that. And I was just stupid. I mean, you know, they all say that every accident in the shop or at work is because you skipped a step. You know, that's everyone. Anytime somebody gets hurt in the shop or gets hurt at work, it's because they skipped a step or they tried to jump ahead or do something different. If you follow the rules, you do it safely. Now, one of the things is, and it is the one thing I've had to change, is my wife has told me I'm no longer allowed to do ladder work in barns when I'm by myself, because she did bring up a valid point. Had I actually gotten hurt, there was nobody on that property but me. And I was obviously far enough away from the phone that was filming, you know, and so that is something that kind of put a damper on it. But no, for all intents and purposes, I ended up okay. And a pretty, you know, funny 20-second video.
Yeah. You never know when things might not only the ladder, but you could have cut something and really not expected what would happen, and something fell that you weren't expecting to happen and whack you upside the head. I mean, there's tons of things. So I kind of agree with her that you need somebody else. Real quick, we had one. We were up on a 2-story house, which was 3 racks of scaffolding, and we were doing the soffits and stuff and finishing it up in the vinyl. And we were about 2 to 3 foot short of finishing that front side. So that meant either we're going to have to get an extension ladder and put it up, or move the set of scaffolding over. And we're like, I don't know. We ain't going to do that. So at that time, I was only probably in my mid-20s, probably 28. I was probably 160 pounds, maybe 180 at the most. Anyway, I had the guy that was working with him, his name is Ronnie. Ronnie was about 350 pounds. So we took one of the scaffolding boards and laid it on top of the other scaffolding board and run it out that 3 or 4 foot. And he stood on one end, and I walked out there and finished the soffit on the other end.
Oh, yeah. Didn't I see that in the Three Stooges?
Yeah, I was going to say
we did it, and it didn't. We didn't have a problem. It took me a few minutes to put those last pieces in, and boom, we were off. And hey,
well, if you were to watch that video again, Russ, at the absolute end of it, when I managed to drop that support beam, there's about 6 or 7 windows that were on top of there that I had no idea about, because they were covered in dirt and debris and hay.
Oh,
and yeah, so that was a lot of glass coming down that way. So like I said, there were a lot of things that the video was good, but a lot more could have gone wrong had I, you know, been at the wrong stage of that. And so, House Mouse or Candace has said I'm no longer allowed to take down barns. I can do siding and stuff like that, but when it comes to the structural side of taking down barns, I always have to have somebody out there with me, be it the homeowner, the property owner, or one of our friends or her or whatever, just in case. So it makes sense, but taking down barns is not easy work all the time.
Yeah, it does make sense. A good one out here, Donald from Donald's Vlog Fly Wood Shop. He said he won a knife from me. I gave away these folding razor blade knives. I love those things. I've got like 4 or 5 of them, and he won one. And the first thing he did was not take it out, and he was like running it down to cut something. And if he didn't run it across, just cut the crap out of his finger right off the bat.
Yeah.
I think, didn't you have that on video, or did you say something about it? But yeah, he cut his finger. I thought he had it on video. I'm not sure.
Good.
Isn't it amazing how we'll be told all the safety rules, but we'll break them voluntarily until the wife puts the foot down and says,
yes,
no, this is what's going to happen. Suddenly you see it completely differently.
That works.
Stuff.
Yep. My wife has put the kibosh on many of my stupid activities. So,
Ken McCrory's out there. Who else showed up a few minutes ago that I hadn't seen? Oh, Leonard Davis. He showed up. Good to see
Chris
you.
Nealon popped in.
Yeah, good to see
From
y'all.
My Antic Woodworks.
Anybody have any questions for Ryan that is out there in the chat? So
You got
I know enough now not to go into farming.
Yeah.
I have to add something to it.
I'm a city boy. I'm a fan of supermarkets. I'm sorry. I hope you guys do well, but I'm going to go to the store.
Oh, no, I
you
totally understand that.
There's just, like I said, there's some. Think about this. When I was a kid growing up, we had the cars used to have those huge, long back windows with all that space up there. We're talking about have kids in car seats and seat belts and all that other crap. Shoot, I used to lay in the back back underneath the back windshield and watch the clouds as we were on a trip. I mean, we used to ride in the back. We used to be 15 of us kids in the back of a pickup truck riding and have a good time.
We used to ride on top of my dad's ladders on top of the rack on the back of his truck.
Yeah. So, how about, is anybody, there's a few of you here that are old enough. Anybody ever walk behind the mosquito fogger?
Oh, yeah.
DDT out thinking it was cool. I've done that.
In the wintertime, we used to skitch. We used to catch people when it was snowy and icy. I used to live in Chicago, and grab on the bumper when they stopped at the stop sign, and they would take off, and we would sit there and ride behind the car basically with our
bumper surf.
Skitching. I think that's what it was.
We called it bumper surfing.
Bumper.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Let's look here. Ryan, just a note: if you want your land cleared of all undergrowth, get the pigs. They will take everything out, including the grubs. Yes, the pigs they're very good about that.
Yep.
It's funny, we're going the opposite way. We bought an old farmhouse, and the very first thing I did was gut this space that was a giant chicken coop. Everything was out, the hatches, the frames, the lights, took it all out. And every now and then, I'm in here working, a chicken feather will just float down out of nowhere. I've been in here since 05, and they're still falling from the rafters.
Donald said he used to crawl back there on the back window to get away from his mama's reach. She'd always try to backhand him when he was.
Gee, I wouldn't have thought that. Huh?
Not Donald.
Donald.
He's such a saintly creature.
Christmas is coming, Ryan. Do you have any special projects for Christmas gifts or anything that you're gonna try to knock out, or gonna be too busy with the farm?
Darn thing. That was something that we actually decided on. So every year that Barn Rat's been around, we've been big on the holiday shows, the craft shows, the vendor fairs, stuff like that. The lady who owns the property that we're buying it in kind of a very unconventional way, and so she's actually moving out after Thanksgiving. So I just looked at it and I said, nope. I am busting my hump between now and November. And then once November hits, November and December, it's going to be getting ready the house we're in to put that on the market and get that sold. Getting Holly, our friend, moved out of the farmhouse and into her new place. And then Candace and I have to go into the farmhouse, and we're going to hopefully take advantage of the fact that we have some time between hand and can get in and paint and redo floors and cabinets and fixtures and lighting and all that stuff. So no Christmas plans. Nobody's getting anything for Christmas out of the studio. The shop is shut down unless it is farm or farmhouse related. But
Wow.
I am saying that on August 17th. Check back with me.
Yep.
ADHD could happen, and that could completely change. But yeah, we're not doing any craft shows, so I don't have to make a bunch of, make 35 bottle openers and all that stuff. Yeah, but we are starting a new product line with our pet beds and pet feeders, but that's usual stuff.
Yeah, I do some of those too.
Pet beds and pet feeders.
Oh yeah, Russ. People will spend way too much money on their pets.
Oh, yeah.
Way too much.
My kid brother has a pet supply business in North Conway, New Hampshire, a ski town, but he is making money hand over fist.
Yep.
His running joke is when the Volvo with the dog cage backs into the door, he just opens the register and lets them pour money into it.
Pretty much.
I won't mention his name because I don't want them going back there and saying that to him. So
I have 5 dogs and 5 cats if you count all the farm cats and all that. And I will tell you, I am fairly certain that the animals with 4 legs eat better than the animals with 2 legs in our property.
Oh yeah, that's a given. Yeah. Same in our house. We have 2 beagles. We get a 3rd one coming this week. 2 cats.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be surprised if another cat shows up anytime soon.
Every time I buy dog food or dog treats, I'm looking at those ingredients, making sure it's high quality, the best ingredients. Meanwhile, after I buy the dog treats, my fat butt's going through McDonald's getting a number 2 with the Diet Coke. Because, I got to get the Diet Coke because it's bathing suit season. I got to work on this girlish figure.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's
make
horrible.
bikini season, but you'll rock the sweatshirt, okay? So,
Luanna Pierce said some people's pets are children to them, and that's true. I mean, there's a lot of people like Katie loves her dogs like they were a part of her. I mean, they are part of her family. So it's like we got 1 cat. We're down to 1 cat and some fish, which I'll keep the fish. But when the cat is gone, passes away, we're not going to get any more animals. I've had dogs and cats and you name it throughout the year. When I was on the farm, we had a pet chicken, or I had a pet chicken. That thing would follow me around. When I got home from school, he was just like a dog. He'd come straight to me and follow me around. But anyway, because I'm retired and my wife is thinking about retiring here in the next few years, we might want to do some traveling, and it's a little harder to travel with pets, or you need to put them up somewhere, So we just don't want all that hassle. So when the last cat, when he's climbs the rainbow or crosses the rainbow bridge, that will be the last for us.
Yeah, we said that too 3 dogs ago.
So Russ, that chicken that you had as a pet when you were little, how'd it taste?
We never mentioned. My mom would not allow my dad to touch that chicken. Yeah. But how it happened is he had for some reason he had a gimp leg, and I called him Crip. That was the damn chicken's name, Crip. And I raised him as a pet because I took care of him, because we didn't keep him with the other chickens. They were afraid. Dad was afraid that because he got him as a biddy, and he had a gimp leg from a biddy. So I mean, I'm talking about I got him when he was like this big. So, and I just raised him and up at the house in his own special pen. And finally, when he got big enough, he'd stay right there. We didn't even have to put him in the pen. He was like, he knew the property, and he stayed right there. So when I come home from school, he was standing there waiting for me. Or it was actually a hen. She was standing there waiting for me. So
Until she was chicken wings.
No, we never eat her. I was telling you.
So you thought she just went away to work at another farm.
Did y'all ever see that cartoon? Because this was really true on our farm. Is when the chickens started to the point that were stopping laying. Yeah, they got. But anyway, do you see that one where the two ladies are standing there talking, and the chicken's on the other side of the fence, and the ladies say something like, "Yeah, well, they're really good layers, and when they stop laying, we're gonna, there'll be dinner." In other words, right? So the next caption, you see the chicken going to the market buying dozens of eggs.
Yeah. When I was a kid, I got bit in the eye by a guinea hen.
A guinea? Oh, those are bad. Yeah.
Yes, they are. I learned that real quick. I chased after her chicks, and she did not think that was very nice.
And they are the best. We had guineas on our farm, but they are the best watchdog.
Oh yeah.
If somebody comes on the property that ain't supposed to be there, they will go crazy letting you know.
Yeah, I had a couple hundred of them when I was on the farm, and I loved them to death. The people next door didn't think a whole lot of them.
Oh yeah, they make a racket. They're very loud, and like Paul was saying, they'll nail your butt. They got spurs. The males got spurs just like roosters, and they'll get you. And they ain't afraid either. I don't care if they ain't afraid of you.
They'll take out the snakes and the mice and everything.
Yep.
Anything that takes out snakes is good.
Yeah.
Yeah, they'll kill snakes. I'm looking over here. Russ Meadows is out there in the chat. He joined us. Good to see you out there, Russ. He says he's living the dream. Yeah, Russ is now retired. He retired.
Yeah.
It's been what?
I posted Ryan's webpage.
Thank you, guys.
Chat. Yeah. You guys get out there and check it out. It's Vineyard and Mount House. Nice. Anyway, it's up there. It moved up on me, but it's there.
It's a work in progress. We're hoping for a full launch, but I'll let you guys, in there early to poke around and see how it is.
Cool.
Barn, rat, and house, mouse.
Yeah, all spelled out.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't know what it was, and then it moved. And
Russ,
so Ryan, you saving all that barnwood? I'm assuming you are.
Yeah, well, kind of a mix. So some of it we're saving and going to use for our projects. I lost. This is again more proof of the wife knowing better, and I should have listened to her in the first place. So when I'm tearing down these barns, we end up with what I call splinters. They're anywhere from 18 to 30-inch halves, quarters, long way off the siding, which I always just said, all right, I'll throw it in my truck because I like to keep the property clean when I'm tearing it down. I'll just throw it in my burn pit. And my wife said, why don't you bundle that up and sell it to like crafters and all the ladies, all that stuff. And I'm like, honey, the amount of time and energy that it's going to take me to cut this all with straight ends and bundle it with twine. I said, I'm not even going to get the $5 that it's worth, in twine and time. She's like, just try it. So for shits and giggles, I bundled like 15 of them and threw it on Facebook Marketplace at $5 a bundle. I'll be damned if I wasn't sold out within an hour.
Wow.
So now I've got this whole new venture where, I'll tear down the side of a barn. I'll take all the splinters. I cut them down to 24 inches long. I bundle about 25 sticks together with twine. I sell it for $5 a bundle. And it works. So, but yeah. And then the beams, I'm not a big, I don't have big equipment. So, I don't have a large saw. And so I can't mill up or cut up or deal with an 8x8 barnwood beam.
Right.
But what I can do is recoup the cost that I spend on taking down that barn by selling those beams to local makers in the Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky area that can. And so that's kind of my plan. And unfortunately, always the beams are the last part of the barn that you harvest. So I spend all this money harvesting siding and support sticks and all that. But the big 8x8 beams will be the last to go. But hopefully that will pay for the time and energy and gas and ice packs that are required to take down a barn. So it's been an adventure.
You know, that's weird because that you have that many barns up there that you can salvage because we're out. I mean, I'm sure there are some around here, but in my local area, they're all gone.
Tobacco,
Yeah.
Russ. It's all tobacco barns around here. And the problem is just, I hate to say it, but a lot of people are approaching farmers to buy these barns.
Yeah.
They don't approach it the way we do with Barn Rat. When I approach well, first, I don't solicit any barns. People reach out to me and say, hey, we have a barn. Are you interested? The absolute first thing I say to them right away is, I am not paying you any money for this barn. I'm just letting you know up front. And then I go into the process and I explain to them that I'm a one-man operation. What I'm going to do, I tell them how we're not interested in taking your barn down to sell it to a wholesaler who's going to pay me, $1 a board foot. This wood is going to stay in my shop minus the beams, which I use to recoup my costs. But I make things, and then I say, you have an option. I can make you some end tables or a dining table or, an accent wall in your home with the wood that I take from this barn. And then I explain to them how important it is. I'm not going to take a barn that I don't know the backstory of. If I can't explain to my clients the history and the backstory of that barn, then it might as well be a 2x4 at Home Depot to me. It's got the same value. And then the other promise I make is when I take down a barn, you're left with the dirt that was underneath the barn. That's it. I'll bring in a dumpster at the end of the job, and anything that I don't take off property, I throw in the dumpster and get hauled away. They're literally left with a bald piece of dirt and sometimes the stone or the concrete foundation and pads that the barn was on, but all wood, all trash, all hay, all debris, it's gone by the time I'm off property. Sweet. Which a lot of guys won't do. A lot of guys will come, they'll take the large beams, they'll take the siding, and then especially with these tobacco barns, because over the years they've replaced the rafters and the hangers with just newer wood that's just not as valuable to reclaimers. So they leave a mess, a bigger mess for the farmer than what the blown down barn or the falling apart barn was. And when I make the promise that that's not going to happen, and I've got clients that back me up saying, yeah, when Ryan takes down a barn, he does it like this, and then I say to him, I've got X number of hours. I've got a 20-year-old truck that sucks fuel like no tomorrow. I've got equipment, I've got time, and I'm not going to make money off of your barn. Like this barn I'm taking in Stone Lake, Ohio, minus the crafter bundles that I'm selling at $5 a piece, I'm not going to make a single dollar off of any of this barnwood probably until after Christmas, just because I'm not going to have time to get to it. Because I got to get it to my shop, then I have to treat it and power wash it and all that stuff. It's not like wood from Home Depot where I could take it and work with it right away. I have to treat every stick, every beam, every post with a boric acid insecticide treatment, let that sit on it for a week, and then I have to power wash everything to clean it. Then I got to put it back in a barn and dry it because I just introduced all this moisture when I power washed it.
Yeah.
Is there any limit to how big a barn you'll tear down?
Yes. I won't do over 2 stories. I often won't do cattle barns because they are a mess, and respiratory wise, they're an adventure I don't want to deal with. And then I usually limit myself at 80. So if it's 80 long or 80 wide, I'm good. But if it's over 80 at one point, it's just too big for me to deal with. But I do have companies that I will refer to. I'll have a client, like I'm booked out through 2021 for barns that I'm taking down. I've got customers that know I'm not going to get to their barn until next summer. Wow. But if somebody calls me and says, hey, I need this barn down in the next 2 months, I've got guys locally that I say, hey, I trust them. They do good work. But you're going to have to pay them to tear your barn down.
Right.
So, yeah.
No, I was curious because I was down in West Virginia and there was a llama farm. Surprised the hell out of me. I came across a llama farm and they were taking the barn down. Some 19-year-old kid is he's burning off the split pieces, but he's stacking all the longboards.
Yeah.
So I just, you pull over and find out what's the story, what's going on here. And I made a deal with them. Listen, I'll give you $100 for everything my little Ranger can carry. And I'm already talking, I'm tying into the roof if I have to. Yeah.
Yeah.
We get the truck loaded. His father shows up.
Oh no.
He goes, "What are you doing?" He goes, "I just bought all this lumber off this kid." He goes, "No, you didn't. It's my barn, my property, my kid." Canceling the deal.
Oh,
I said, "Fine."
I was gonna say that's a good deal for $100.
I even said, "Listen, I'll give you 150." He goes, "Nope, I'm going to make more than that later on."
Yeah.
I said, "Fine, you unload it then." So
Right
he
now
unloaded it.
in Cincinnati, siding, just the siding off a barn. We're not talking beams. Just the
Yeah.
siding is around $4 a board foot.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah.
Of
And
course, my
again,
other concern was, am I going to make it from West Virginia back to Boston overloaded like that? So
right.
I would have gambled.
I
Dixon
mean,
Hopkins.
those beams, those large oak beams that I'm pulling out of this barn, there are some guys, I don't know how much they're moving at this price, but I know some online prices of some other guys in the area that do barns are selling 8x8 beams at $17, $18, sometimes $23 a board foot for 8x8
Oh.
beams.
Holy
Wow.
crap.
But I mean, that's clean, that's power washed, that's treated, that's
Yeah.
sanded down, that's finished. That's you take the beam from my shop and your general contractor mounts it to the wall as a mantle.
Yeah.
There's a lot of labor in there, but yeah, and I think that's the thing. I mean, it's kind of like Chris, I'm assuming, given the accent, you're in the upper Northeast there. They were saying if you were buying property 100 years ago out there, you're in luck, because now everything out there is worth, and it's the same with barnwood. Right now, Northern Kentucky and Cincinnati has the barns.
Right.
In 15 years, we're going to be in a situation where Russ is, where there's not a lot of barns left. And so sitting on that wood, not to resell it, but so that the barns that I tear down, I have the wood for, so that in 10, 15 years, I could say, yeah, this table I'm making for you is from a 135-year-old tobacco barn in Stone Lake, Ohio.
We were already there. The barns that are left in this general Mass, Boston, out to 495, it's about 40 miles out. If they've not been converted and renovated into housing already, they've already been taken down. There's really nothing left on the market.
Katie,
But what's your market for wood out there? What's a barn beam cost out in that area, because they're so hard to come across, or they have to be shipped in?
Most of us are going outside the area to get stuff.
Mhm.
So I'll
Katie,
go to Maine and New Hampshire to do it. Sorry, Russ.
Katie Dotson wants to know, do you soak the wood in the boric acid solution?
Define soak. So,
I think she means, do you have a vat that you put it in, or you just spray it on it?
No, I apply it in accordance to the label.
Okay.
So I use a manual sprayer, but soaking it is not something I would ever recommend. You're just adding way too much moisture. So Nicest Corporation, I'm not sponsored with them in any way whatsoever, but they have two products, Timbor, Timbor, and then Boracare, Boracare. Those are two absolutely fantastic products when it comes to controlling wood-destroying organisms and wood-destroying insects, especially on barnwood, reclaimed wood, pallet wood, all that stuff. I don't trust kilns, mainly because when I was in pest management, I would watch, insects emerge from 2-inch, 3-inch thick wood that had been sitting in our heat chambers, which we heated, to a much higher temperature than a wood kiln would. I don't think kilns kill bugs, and I don't. I'm not a fan of anyone who says that, oh, it's kiln dried, there's no bugs in it. Kiln dried versus heat treated are two very different processes. And so when people say, "Oh, I put this wood in a kiln, there's no bugs in it," if you're mistaking a heat treatment for a kiln, fine. But if it's only kiln dried, then it's not bug proof. So you need to treat it with either some sort of boric acid based insecticide, which will discolor the wood. I always tell people, they ask me, does it stain? It can, depending on the wood, it can. And so that's why I always treat before I pressure wash, before I mill. So, my barnwood, I'm always going to put it through my planer at some point or another. And so a lot of times going through the planer, I'm either going to skip plane it to have some of that character, or I'm going to completely plane it to use the original wood. Once I do that, it takes any staining and any discoloration from the boric hair off of it. So there's no concern about, at least with barnwood and reclaim wood, if you're treating it with these and there is discoloration, once you mill that wood and sand it down to its finished product, you're going to be fine. It's people who treat it after they milled it and sanded it, and then they're like, "Oh, I have bugs, I should treat this." Nope. You get reclaimed wood, pallet wood, etc. If there's a teeny tiny hole in it that you can't see a nail going through, if it's something other than a nail, you better treat that before you put it in your home or somebody else's home.
Yeah, kiln dried, only thing that does is they're removing the moisture out of the wood. That was never intended to be to kill bugs. Yeah, heat treated has to take it way higher than kiln dry to kill bugs.
And it's a thickness thing. People will be like, "Oh, I'll put it." I've talked with some turners who have approached me because they know about my pest control background, and they'll say, "Hey, I have this blank. It's got sawdust coming out of it." I said, "Okay, put it in your oven, 185 degrees, 2 hours per inch of thickness." And they're like, "Well, I can't have this thing in the oven for 15 hours. I said, "Okay, put it in your fire pit." That's your two options. Or you mill it down to smaller, because that heat has to penetrate that wood. And often, if you put a bowl blank in your oven at 185 for 15 hours, that outside wood's pretty much done for. There's no way that's going to turn nice. It's just going to be too dry and too brittle by the time you actually get that heat to the middle of that block. So I love curly, or what is it, ambrosia maple. I love some of that buggy wood and the way that turners can make it look in bowls and all that. But I always tell guys, be careful, because there's not a single finish, there's not a single polyurethane, there's not a single paint, stain, varnish that's going to keep those larvae from emerging out when they're adult insects.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Sorry.
XOXOAYA. How? Anybody have any idea how to pronounce that? Just
No. No.
We're kind of watching.
Yeah. But anyway, she says, for some reason, Russ's videos make me laugh. I'm glad. And then she says, "I like your beard." So,
Or he. Could be a he.
do what?
Could be a he.
Yeah, it could be. Well, it looks. I can't tell with the picture for their thing, but anyway, it's XOXO. So, I'm glad you like my beard. I appreciate that. So, and I'm glad to have you out there in the chat, by the way. So, we're still maintaining 42 people. So that's pretty doggone good. I appreciate y'all all being out there. Luana Pierce is still out there. Donna's Wood Art. Oh, Donald Vlogsfile Wood Shop had to leave. Donald said he was sick. Well, he said he was sick when he came on, but he said he was feeling bad. He was going to go lay down. So, hope you get to feeling better, Donald. But all y'all are still out there. Well, do we have any more questions from the chat out there? If you do, post that. And
I'm looking.
Yeah, I'm seeing 42 also. Aussie Man says 42. Questioning your stats. He's fact checking you.
well, I guess it might be this one over here. For some reason, sometimes don't update as fast.
Well,
Hey, Russ.
the rest of them probably haven't gotten to Australia yet.
Yeah.
Niantic River Woodcrafting just popped in. Sorry, guys, saying that he just turned a big ambrosia maple bowl and he's worried. You don't have to throw it away. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying every ambrosia maple, wood is going to be infested. I'm saying watch it. Put it, I always say if you've got a large enough tablecloth or even paper towels, put it underneath it for a couple days. See if any sawdust comes out. If you've got sawdust after you've turned the bowl and finished it, or finished the project or whatever, if you're seeing sawdust, you've got a problem. And it's going to be, within a week, you're going to see that activity. But also, if you're buying that wood from a reputable source, Russ, some of your sponsors, Klingspor, I know, does a good job making sure that their ambrosia products are not active. They're not live. I can't speak for others, but I know a lot of reputable wood dealers will heat treat buggy wood, as they call it. It's the guys that go out to, the woods, or their friend calls them and says, hey, I just cut down, this tree and it's got some really great character and all that. And that's where a lot of times the bugs come from. It's the unmilled, unprocessed woods. It's still got bark on it, so it's really attractive to wood destroying and wood consuming organisms. And so that's, if you've turned it, you've finished it, set it on a paper towel or some newspapers for a couple days, look for sawdust.
He says no surface, and it was a new cut.
Yeah. Yep. But the other thing is always, extension offices. So Niantic, I don't know where exactly you're located, but check with your county extension office. So the county is going to have an extension always. It's usually associated with the state university. Those are great resources when it comes to insect management and pest management and any entomological issues or questions you have. Obviously I know a decent about the upper Midwest and a little bit about Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky, but I don't know much about East Coast bugs.
He's down in New England, Connecticut.
Yeah.
Hey, Ryan, I was really impressed that you used the word entomological. See, I can't even pronounce it. That was really good. I like that.
That's why you teach college. You can't pronounce it.
I talk Purdy some days.
No, actually, no. That's not why I teach college.
No one else will hire you?
Well,
Hey,
Hey, I'm a Fed. What can I talk?
Chris said, Connecticut, the only pests we have here are politicians. funny.
Absolutely right.
Fantastic.
He's absolutely right.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for having me on, guys.
You're welcome. More than welcome. We appreciate you being here. I appreciate it
It's
very
always
much.
fun.
That was a lot of good info tonight.
Thank you. And I've always opened this up to community. I mean, obviously, I'm here today to kind of promote and talk about barn rat and house mouse and all the awesome stuff we're doing on the farm. But there are two fantastic resources in the maker community that I currently know about. I'm one of them. Chad Grossclaws is another. If you guys ever have a question or concern about anything with 6 or more legs that's in your shop or in your products, do not hesitate. Send me a message on Facebook, Instagram, send me an email, reach out to me. I never, ever, feel like I am offended or, pissed off that somebody reached out to me for a bug question. Now,
and you don't care if they bug you about it, right?
Ooh, and to be honest, there might be times where I say, yeah, go reach out to so-and-so at the, at Purdue University or, your local extension. I might send you to the NPMA, the National Pest Management Association, if I'm not 100% sure. Somebody posted a few days ago about this weird leaf eating bug that I had never seen before. I sent them to Daniel Dye over at a pest control company in Ocala, Florida, because I have no idea about Florida bugs. But yeah, if there's ever a question you have in your shop or a lot of us, come across wood with weird stuff on it. As long as it's not going to get me in trouble with the wife, send me a picture. And again, I'm talking about wood that comes out of trees. I don't
Okay.
want to be seeing pictures of other bugs. Don't do it.
Yeah,
I
Chad
will
has,
republish that and tag you.
Chad has helped me out a couple of times.
Yeah.
I've had a couple of questions.
Is that Chad from Man Crafting?
Yep.
Yes, yep.
Yep.
Yes.
Chad Grossclogs. Yeah, he's. I asked him two different times. I've PM'd him and asked him a question, and he responded back and gave me some great advice and some told me some stuff to use, and it worked out great. So I appreciate him very much, and I appreciate you saying that out there for everybody. So
Yeah, there's a lot of help and information out there in the community. That's what I like about it.
Leonard Davis says my VW bug has a problem. Can you help?
Nope.
Yeah. Oh, Dan Inge from Dan Inge Woodworking had a good one. Where did it go? He said, how is a politician like a slinky? Neither one are good for anything, but they're fun to watch when you push them down the stairs. That was pretty good. All right, I think we're gonna head it out of here. It's we've been on the air for 1 hour and 25 minutes. So
Nice.
Luana Pierce says, "Great show, Russ. Thank you very much." Chris Nealon's still out there. All y'all are Leonard Davis. All y'all are still out there in the chat. I appreciate it very much. Dixon Hoffman, thank you very much for being out there. Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and call it a night. Thank you again, Ryan. I appreciate you being on.
No, thank you for having me. Thank you, everyone. I've been seeing the little alerts popping up on my screen of all the subscribers and messages. Bottom of my heart, thank you so much. It means the world. And yeah, again, Russ, thanks for having me on. Everything from literally hanging around barns to bugs and chickens. It's never a dull moment hanging out with you guys. So thank you for having me.
Good, you're welcome. And I want to say Liberty Woodworking. He had showed up a little bit ago, and I was going to say something about Liberty Woodworking. So Liberty Woodworking has joined us out there in the chat a little while ago. So good to have you out there. I appreciate you being out there in the chat. And then good Dan Inge has been around for a while, following me and watching my shows. Several years he's been around watching my shows, and I appreciate him always coming back and being out there in the chat. Well, there's only one thing we need to do. And first off, just remember this. If you're too darn busy to get out in your shop and make some sawdust, you're just too darn busy. Just give me sawdust, lots of sawdust all around me and everywhere. I like it flying all around my shop and even in my beard and hair. Good night, everybody. Thank you,
boys and girls.
And God bless.
Night,
And remember, you don't have to go home, but you cannot stay here.
Nope.
Bye-bye.
Can't stay here. Good night.
Oh, that way. Go. That way. Pick up your drinks. Let's go.
Hey, y'all. Live long.